Lime wedge. We put the lime in the cocktail. We put the lime in the cocktail. Mix it all about.
Brad's making us some Caesars.
We put the lime in the cocktail. Mix it all
Brad's
about.
making us some Caesars.
I even want for cold, but as they say in
It's
Spanish,
always fun to have a drink while you're cooking.
as they say in Spanish, sin alcohol.
Sin alcohol. He likes a Caesar too. It's a Canadian thing. If you don't know what a Caesar is, it's vodka, Clamato, Worcestershire, Tabasco, and a lime. And also you can put on celery, salt, rim. But
Well, the best ones would have a prawn.
we're going hobo tonight.
A
Oh, and a
prawn.
prawn and maybe some bacon.
Oh, that would be the best ones.
Those are over the top.
Here you are, young lady.
Thank you.
Bought a tea and.
Yum. Yep, that's good.
And one por mi hijo with a straw for cold.
Metal straw, of
Metal
course.
straws, check it out. Thank you, Sandy Feet. Hey, you guys. Another episode of Cooking with Krista on a cat. It is kind of cheesy. Cooking with Krista on a catamaran. Anyways, what are you making today, babe?
Name in progress.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make ravioli, which I got some of these. Spinach and cheese stuffed ravioli.
Yum.
Yeah, so I'm gonna saute some veggies, and then probably gonna do some chicken too, although you don't have to, but I like this because it's kind of a quick and easy meal, and I could use it for passage too, and if you got a crowd of people, you can use it.
What veggies are you cooking?
I got some mushrooms I want to use up, and then some onion and zucchini. And I've got some broccoli that I might throw in too, but I think this is going to be enough with the ravioli as well.
Okay, great. Check back.
Some olive oil. Fire up the stove. You got to get one of these pans. It's like my favorite pan of my whole kitchen. It's deep, big, doesn't take up the whole stove, and you can cook like a whole meal in there. Use it for multiple things.
And it's non-stick, a special kind of non-stick.
Yeah, it's a really great pan.
What's that for?
It's gonna be for the raviolis.
Duh.
Okay, I'm gonna add the mushrooms now.
Let's watch.
Let's watch. Super exciting.
I like fried mushrooms.
Me too. So yummy.
How come you're not putting the zucchini in right away?
Well, because it cooks a little faster than the mushrooms, so I'll wait a little bit. Same with the onions. Put them in first because they cook slowest. Get them a little bit soft, and then put the mushrooms in. Season them with a little bit of salt and pepper.
And then put the zucchini in after.
Right.
So that it doesn't overcook.
Righto. And then I'll put it aside. Cook the chicken.
Well, we'll film you when we get to that point.
Yeah. And with the zucchini, add a little extra olive oil for some moistness.
For some what?
Moistness.
Moistness?
Moistness. Some salt, pepper, a little stir. And I made the zucchini pretty much the same size as the mushrooms, just to keep everything relatively the same. Couple minutes there. I don't measure stuff when I'm cooking like this because you just have what you have on hand. Okay, meanwhile while this is cooking, I'm going to season the chicken, but I'm also going to just pat it dry so that it doesn't steam. It will saute instead. And I'd already bought some chicken bone in and deboned it and de-skinned it myself just because
It's cheaper.
it's cheaper. And you can find chicken like everywhere in the islands. So you don't have to stock up on that. If you're going to stock up your freezer, stock it up with the good stuff. It's hard to find. Like ravioli or you know, if you like beef or special cuts of meat.
Because chicken is everywhere.
Yep. All right. There we go. Dried it off a little bit. So a little bit of olive oil on there.
Sir, tell me again why you dried it.
Okay, I dried it so that it doesn't steam, because if this outside is dry, then it gets a nice brown layer on the outside as opposed to just staying white. So then a little bit of olive oil so it doesn't stick to the pan, and then I season it with salt and pepper, and I'm probably going to put some garlic powder and onion powder on that on both sides. So I flip it over, do the oil on this side too, keeping one hand clean.
Right.
It's a process. And
that's a good tip.
You may notice, like, cooking on a boat, this is like a 3-pan meal, but I only have 2 burners. So it's a science trying to keep things warm and figure out what stages to do things. So I gotta cook the chicken after the vegetables and then add it to my hot sauce that I'm gonna make. All right, the veggies are done, so I turned that off. And I'm gonna just set these aside so that I can use the same pan to cook the chicken in now. I'll cook the chicken second so that you don't contaminate the pan. And then we'll wash it after we do the chicken and use the same pan to make the sauce.
Brilliant.
Cooking on a boat.
I wondered what that was, but a powerboat just went by us and gave us a big weight. And so that's why the lid was rolling around like crazy. So it's kind of one of these once in a while.
Okay, I'm just gonna finish seasoning the chicken here. A little bit of pepper, garlic powder. You can use whatever seasonings you like, but these are kind of stock standard in my pantry.
What was that?
This one's onion powder.
So garlic powder, onion powder.
Salt and pepper on this anyway.
Okay. Now the other side.
Yeah, actually I'll just do it on the other side when I throw it in the pan. I'll put the seasoned side down first, and then I'm gonna season it the top side when it goes in the pan. Then I don't have to touch it twice. Okay, now down with the chicken. Have a good sizzle. You're not really supposed to crowd the pan when you're doing stuff like this, but you know what? We're gonna crowd the pan because you don't have the luxury of extra space.
And you got extra chicken there because you got a growing teenager that
That's right.
eats like 2 men these days.
Right, I know.
All right.
Okay, I mentioned I was gonna finish seasoning it once it was in the pan, so.
So onion powder, garlic powder, salt and pepper.
Yep. But I did salt already, so just these 2. If you have favorite spices that you like to cook with, I would recommend bringing those on board. They're tricky to find. Okay, the zucchini pieces get flipped first, obviously. They're cooking fast.
Oh, look at that
Nice and brown,
yeah,
right?
look at that nice brown crust.
Yeah.
That's from patting all the moisture off.
Right. This one needs to go a little longer. It's one of the fatter ones. Sometimes when I get really fat ones like that, I'll actually butterfly them so that they're the same thickness, because I'm going to cut all this up into chunks in the end anyway, so.
Right.
I can get them brown now.
Yeah, there is.
I'm going to start taking some of these thinner guys out of here, because they're done. I want them to be overcooked. Gives these guys a little bit more space to finish up.
There's one of the big boats that goes by. That's a really big boat. It makes this rock and roll. Big fishing boat. That's a pretty boat.
Yeah, that is a nice little boat. So remember that big one that I said sometimes I butterfly it? I really should have done that first. So I just cut it in half now, and see how it's pink inside. You definitely don't want that to be the case on the inside. You want it to be white in the center.
Yeah.
Be patient. Turn the heat down. Just let it run a little bit longer if it's got a thick piece, and then you don't get the outside burnt. So now I'm going to use the drippings from the chicken in the pan. Heat here. Add a tiny bit of water.
So that is going to be part of your sauce? Is that what you're saying?
And that just takes all the flavor that was in the bottom of the pan, and you don't want to throw that out because that's the good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, water's boiling. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt just to flavor the water. and then add the raviolis. These are fresh raviolis, although I had them frozen, but they're fresh, and so they don't take long to cook. Basically, once they're floating, they're done. And you don't want to overcook them because we're going to add them to the hot sauce afterwards. And if you overcook them, they just fall apart and all the filling comes out.
Good advice.
Yep.
That's a lot of raviolis. That's gonna be a heck of a meal.
Well, you know what? I don't really like making lunch, so this is going to be lunch.
Well, then we don't have Cooking with Krista on a Cat at lunch
Right,
tomorrow.
I know. All right, see, all the little ravioli guys are floating now. So they're good. Doesn't take long. Well, it takes like 3 minutes. They're done.
So what are you gonna do with those?
So I'm going to just turn that off and then strain the water off of them. And they're just going to hang out while I finish making the sauce. But I'm going to save some of the pasta water because that makes a really good sauce. It helps the sauce stick to the pasta and thickens your sauce a little bit too. So I need to go in there and get my Pyrex dish out.
Same as we do on the food truck.
Yeah. I'm just going to stick this in the bottom there.
Wait, what was that underneath there? Oh,
Just
okay.
a Pyrex measuring
To
cup.
save some of your water.
Right out.
Brilliant. Because you don't need a whole Pyrex thing. You just need whatever,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever you catch.
Exactly. All right, that's done. So now I'm going to start working on the sauce. So add some butter.
Mantequilla
Mantequilla.
in Espanol. How much you putting in?
That's probably about 4 tablespoons. More or less, maybe a little bit more. Let's go with more. Actually, we're going to need more because we
like butter?
like butter, and also because more sauce is better for leftovers.
Good point.
Never have too much sauce. You can always keep it if you don't use it all in this stuff for another time. Freeze it.
Action!
Butter's melting, so I'm going to add a little bit of flour. So I put about, let's say, I put probably 6 tablespoons of butter in there.
So you're making
And
a
put-
bechamel.
Yeah, I'm making a roux right now.
Yeah, bechamel roux.
Yeah. So put the flour in, and then turn the heat down just a little bit so your butter doesn't burn. And then you want to just mix it so that the flour cooks. And you don't taste flour in your sauce, it just tastes good. So I'm using a silicone whisk on my non-stick pan so you don't scrape the bottom of the pan. And this looks brown now because of our drippings that we put, or that we had left over from the chicken. Otherwise, you want it to basically look kind of white. But that's okay because our sauce is going to be a tomato cream sauce, not a cream sauce. So it doesn't matter if it's brown.
Ah, I like a tomato cream sauce more than a white
right?
sauce. That's my favorite.
Okay, so now the everything's incorporated and it's kind of just kind of a thick slurry, I guess you could call it. And I'm going to slowly start adding milk. This is homo milk. It's thicker than regular, so don't try to make this with skim milk because the milk will just curdle. So I'm going to try to heat back up a little bit more now. And you want to add the milk gradually so also that the cold milk doesn't hit the hot sauce and that could curdle it too even though you're using thicker milk. And this stuff is the UHT, is that what it's called? UHT
Yeah.
milk. And doesn't have to be refrigerated until you open it. So you can store a whole bunch.
Which is brilliant when you're sailing.
Yeah.
We just learned that when we hit the Caribbean because
Yeah.
back in North America, we never
We're
really,
spoiled with milk. We can
Yeah.
just have big fridges and have lots of milk on
we
hand.
never really exposed to that stuff. So yeah, we get lots of milk. It tastes a little bit different, but it's definitely milk.
Yeah. I guess it's just pasteurized at a higher temperature, and so that's why they're able to keep it on the shelf as opposed to the fridge. Okay, I probably added 4 cups or so of milk there. I'm just eyeballing it because that's how I roll. I've made it a few times, so I know what I'm doing now, but
That'll thicken up in a few minutes, so we'll
yep,
come
just leave
back.
the heat on it, let it bubble, thicken up a little bit, and then we're going to add a little bit of salt to start seasoning it, and then just taste it along the way so you know if it tastes good or not.
Ooh, nice and thick.
Yeah, it's getting nice and thick now. So when it gets to this point, you want to turn it down just a little bit, otherwise you don't. The bottom will burn, and burnt milk is gross. So just turn it down and let it keep thickening. And don't forget, we have that pasta water. So if it gets too thick, we can thin it with that. But at the same time, it won't thin it out like water. It still have some thickness to it.
Pasta water under here, remember?
Yep. Getting good and thick now. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. About that much. Onion.
Onion powder.
Yep. Kind of my 2 stock standards. I said that already. And some tomato sauce. I like this. This is like first time I've seen these in the Tetra Pak containers. I don't know. It just seems handier.
Are you using the whole thing?
No. I guess it's not that handy if you don't use the whole thing, is it?
Well, it's better in a can, and you have to find a container for it. I guess you can just put that in the fridge.
Yeah.
For a few days anyway.
Right.
Then you have to make something with tomato sauce again.
And I've got some pitas in the cooler that I've been waiting to make homemade pizzas with, so I'll show you that
Sweet.
next.
Not today.
Not today, no. Next episode.
Well, maybe not next episode, but
Some episode.
upcoming episode. Pita pizzas.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss it.
Good point.
I'm just adding it until I like the color, basically.
Okay.
Keep stirring, let it get warm again, and slowly add some ingredients. Thickness test. Put your spoon in here, and if it coats the back of your spoon, when you run your finger through it, and it stays separated, then it's thick enough.
And taste test. I guess that's my job.
Right. You want to taste it?
Yeah, I do.
I'm gonna spoon because I just looked at it. All right. Dinner is served. So remember the pasta water? I'm gonna just add a little bit of that to the sauce. Spread it out a little bit more. Still will maintain thickness, but it kind of helps the sauce stick to the pasta. So that's that.
Good tip.
Then I put the veggies in here. So,
To warm them a bit.
yep. So a little bit of the veggies over the pasta. A little bit of the sauce.
Yum.
Yep. And then I sliced up the chicken, just covered it in tinfoil. And then a little bit of that on top. Done. Oh, one more thing. A little bit of fresh parm. Dinner served.
That looks beautiful.
Right?
Nice job. A nice bottle of wine waiting to have with dinner.
Right?
Well, or bouncing around because the boat just went by. Okay, I'm gonna end this episode.
Bon appetit.
All right, now we sit down to enjoy a wonderful meal.
Spinach and cheese ravioli with tomato pink sauce and sauteed veggies and grilled chicken.
Yum.
Yum.